Hello, my name is Daniel and I'm one hell of a nerd, and today I want to talk to you about an article that was put out by IGN today. This article is about Star Citizen and its $700 million price tag that is attached to it, and the controversy that stems from that. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the article and read through it, and we'll address some of the issues as it comes along, shall we? All right. Star Citizen pushes through the 700 million raised mark, and no, there isn't a release date. Well, I mean, fair enough. Star Citizen has now raised 700 million, according to figures from developer Cloud Empyrean Games. The developer behind controversial Space Sim makes revenue publicly available on its website, which at the time of this article's publication shows Star Citizen has raised $701,186,615. CIG calls the money funds raised. CIG even breaks down the revenue by recent months, weeks, and hours. As its lowest point on the morning of May 28th, Star Citizen brought in 42,000 in 1 hour, about 1.5 million yesterday, May 27th, $10,883,513 last week, and $4,753,264 for the month of April. Things appear to have picked up considerably in May after the launch of Alpha 323 Adventure Beckons update. I'm gonna stop here. In the background, I'm gonna have some footage of 323, or at least the trailer for 323 launch. So the problem with 323 and you saying that it's, oh, well, things are ramping up because of this, right? Yes, it is ramping up. This is the most finished and most polished the game has ever been in its entire history of the game, right? They've added more functionality in this game, in this patch specifically, than I think they've probably ever done in any single patch prior to now. And as you can see, as the footage plays, it's quite impressive. And I play this game. For anybody who watches me stream, shout out to my stream. I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I almost always end my stream with playing a little bit of Star Citizen. Now, here's the thing. If you're new to Star Citizen and you have no idea what this is, it's going to, for you, sound like an absurd number for no reason. But let's put this into perspective, okay? Call of Duty pumps $500 million, like bare minimum, every year into their game, right? This has done about as much as 2 Call of Duty. Well, actually, it's done less than 2 Call of Duties combined together, funding-wise, and has done more innovation than Call of Duty ever has. Ever. And with saying that, I don't know what you want. In 12 years, the average life cycle for a Call of Duty, like development time, is like, I want to say it's like 3 to 5 years for a Call of Duty to be worked on. It might even be less than that for some of them, but you're talking about 3 to 5 years for 2 games that put more money into it than the 12 years it's taken for them to build a company, build an engine from scratch, because I don't know if you know, but they've switched engines like 3 times until they finally just came up with their own engine, which is footage you're seeing right now. And on top of that, they've created technology that just doesn't exist in any other game. One of the things that, honestly, for me was such a mind-boggling experience is most of the time when you're playing a game and you're moving a vehicle of some kind, you can move the vehicle, but having someone else in there is hard unless they're stationary. If there's assigned seats, it's easy to move that vehicle, right? Call of Duty has it. I mean, basically any game, Battlefield, you get it in a vehicle, and then someone else gets in a seat, and boom, Bob's your uncle, right? Now here's where it gets crazy. In Star Citizen, there are ships that are the size of whole-ass multiplayer maps in any game you've ever played. The Reclaimer or the Space Yacht, which name is eluding me right now, but it's a massive, like 5-story tall space yacht. 890 jump. The 890 jump. They are bigger than any multiplayer map you've probably ever played on, almost. And while one person is flying this ship through the verse, there is another person on the ship that is not in a seat and is running around. So you are essentially taking and saying, hey, this one player controls where this multiplayer map moves in this huge universe, and you have to track both the ship or the multiplayer map in the universe, the player in the ship, and the player that is driving the ship and where they want it to go. Like, do you understand how fucking mind-boggling that is? Technology like that just didn't exist before Star Citizen existed. The replication layer, which just got introduced, and it's something they've been working on for a long time, which is eventually going to lead to server meshing, which is basically where instead of there being a bunch of servers that you can connect to, and all those servers have to have the whole load of an entire universe on it, they can be like, all right, this planet is server 1, this planet is server 2, this planet is server 3, and when you move from this planet to this planet, you move through servers. That's active technology that we've seen. We've actually been able to test it in the game. That technology doesn't exist anywhere else. And the reason it's so amazing is because the replication layer is basically this whole layer that everything communicates through. It's like a filter almost. And when anything goes through that filter, it saves the state of where that thing is. So let's say a server crashes, right? All they have to do is then go, okay, server 1 went down, let's activate server 5 to take its place. 30 seconds, minute, maybe 2 minutes, your game has been relaunched and you're exactly where you were. Not to mention, if you put a gun down, you walk away, you come back, a week later, that gun should still be there. The problem with people looking at Star Citizen and not like playing the game is you don't understand what the game is trying to do. The game is trying to create a game that doesn't exist in our time, right? It is trying to create technology that just doesn't exist. Earlier in the 323 launch trailer, you saw the water physics. The water physics that are in the game don't exist anywhere else. They had to build the water physics from scratch. So that when you fly your ship that has multiple thrusters for you to move in all 6 axes in space above the water, it actually shows up where those thrusters are. So if you have 6 of them, you'll see 6 ripples from your thrusters. That technology just doesn't exist anywhere else. No other game is trying to make that happen, right? And on top of that, the first 3 years of CIG existing was them trying to get the company together. Then you take all that and you take the first couple of years of the game, their scope was very small. They had no plans to make the game this monumental. And then they pivoted. And now the game is supposed to be a full-on space sim, period. It is disingenuous for IGN to be like, oh, hey, well, $700 million in the hole and still ain't got a game. In fact, I would almost go as far as to say that, yeah, I don't even think they should have, like, on a responsibility sake, they shouldn't have even wrote the article. Because it's being disingenuous and not actually saying the God's honest truth about the game. You can pay $45 and never spend another dime in the game ever again. The reason that it has raised $700 million is because instead of releasing a game that is absolute dog shit at launch, i.e. Cyberpunk 2077, which by the way took 9 to 10 years of development with a large publisher behind them with millions of dollars invested, no one said shit about that. Or a game like, let's say, Battlefield 2042, another large game that had millions and millions of dollars behind it, that had a publisher publishing it. CIG doesn't have any of that. They're their own independent company. And so they want the game to be slowly built up, and when it releases, it'll go on all platforms, and then it will be done. But if you want to get into that game sooner, if you want to be a part of the game's process, because there has been feedback from players, from the player base as a whole, that's been like, hey, we don't like this, and it was changed. You're not paying just to play the game, you're paying to be an active part of development, just like Dr. Disrespect is doing with his game, $700 million. Do you know how many employees work at CIG? I'll give you an answer. About 1,200 developers. 1,200. Do the math. 1,200 by, let's say, a developer. Here, you know what? Hold on. I'll look it up real quick. The average, according to Glassdoor, is 75,000. It looks like there are some, you know, different numbers, but we'll go with the low one just to prove a point. If we take and do 1,200 times 75,000, we'll round up. That is $9 million a year. Correction, $90 million a year, in fact. Yeah, $90 million a year. So when you put that into perspective, they went from a small group of people in a fucking garage to owning an entire building in Manchester to house all of their people. And they have this is just an average, and I'm sure it's way more. It's probably in the closer range of like, you know, 15 million if I was gonna be guessing. 15 million to pay all their devs. These devs who are, by the way, creating technology out of thin air that doesn't exist anymore, or doesn't exist in the gaming space, and also trying to make a perfect simulation. Like, if you take a look at the only game that even comes close to Star Citizen is actually a game that failed at launch, ironically. No Man's Sky. Everything's procedurally generated. So because they have that AI and they have this procedural generation, it makes it way easier, right? Because they don't have to design all the planets. Guess what? Every planet is designed by a dev. Every universe is designed by a dev. Every space station is designed by a dev. There is no AI help here. There's no procedural generation. The scope of this game is much larger than any other game that exists. So for it to have a large budget over 12 years makes sense. Especially when you put into perspective that Call of Duty spends 300 to 500 million on a game that literally innovates not a goddamn thing every year, and then microtransacts everyone into oblivion. Microtransactions, by the way, that you cannot find in-game. You cannot earn in-game. Unlike Star Citizen, where you can earn everything in game, except for limited edition stuff for people who have spent a large portion of money. And if they've spent that much money, I think they deserve to have something that no one else gets. Editor Daniel here. I forgot to mention, all of those things that I just mentioned, you can kill somebody and take for yourself. So all those rare items and all that shit, you can just kill somebody and take their armor. And then that person can go retrieve it eventually. They will get it back. And now you have a new set of armor or whatever it is that's a special thing. Because there are no player... This is all PvP all the time. Wanted to add that note right. Alright, back to the video. Because they believe in the project and they've shown it with their wallet. So, I hate when people talk about Star Citizen and they'd be like, oh, it's a scam! Oh my god! It's not. And here's why it's not. All of the reasons I've said, but on top of that, it is a game I can play right now. Just like Call of Duty. Except for the difference is in Call of Duty, you have to pay for a battle pass every season. And then you have to pay for this, that, and the third every season. Then you have to pay for all the little cosmetics and all this shit. It's no different, except for the things you pay for in here, you are actually having some function added to the game for you. And if you don't want to pay that money, you can just earn it in game and then still get it. And yes, it is still an alpha because they are building the game while people are playing it. So they put out new changes, we play it, we find all the bugs, we see where it's broken, and then they have to fix those changes while also creating new content to finish the game. If we weren't allowed to play the game probably would have been done already. But they wanted to have their backers be an active part of development. And so they have given that to us. And so people look at this $700 million and they go, oh, well, you know, this is funding and, you know, it's ridiculous that's not out yet. And don't get me wrong, the fact that it's taken so long, yeah, it is a little crazy. But would I have rather Cyberpunk 2077 have come out 5 years later if it would have came out in a working state and a better version of the game? Yeah, I would have. Would I have wanted Battlefield 2042 to come out 3 years later while it's in a working state? Yeah, I would have. I definitely would have taken that time. I would have rather had that time. And the difference is all the people who pre-order those games and all that stuff, they don't get to actively play the game. I get to get on this game and play it every day. And then every couple of months, there's a major change that I get to go explore and have fun with. So I just wanted to make the video and talk about this because I feel like IGN was, I feel like they shouldn't have wrote that article. I feel like IGN wrote it and they knew it was gonna be a clickbait title. They knew it was gonna attract a lot of people and clicks and views because that's all they give a fuck about. And they don't care that it promotes a negative image of a game that has been worked on for 12 years and supported for, I want to say, I don't think it's been crowdfunded the entire time, but I may be wrong about that. I got into the game about 4 years ago. Either way, I just think it was very disingenuous. They very much painted a picture as CIG are the bad guys, the game should be done yet, but they also didn't go, hey, look at what they're doing. I mean, look at this, look at this, look at what's happening right now. We just went through a black hole to go to a whole other universe, a whole other galaxy. That's completely different. Look at how detailed these space stations are. And while yes, maybe the game is not quite this incredible in-game, I would say the in-game difference is like 5% less because you can't get panoramic shots like this. But the game does look like this, and you can go check out any of the numerous Star Citizen content creators out there, from morphologists to subliminals to Daily Noob to, you know, go check out any of these guys, and they will show you that this game is incredible. So before you make your opinion and before you go, oh yeah, it's a scam, and jump on that hype train and have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, go look at the game. Make your own opinion. Be informed before you make a decision on whether you think it's a scam or not. Because yeah, it sucks that console players can't play the game, so they're gonna be salty no matter what. But if you own a PC and you want to experience an amazing space flight simulation with good gunplay mechanics, a whole medical mechanics system, a whole super advanced flight combat system, which is a whole other controversy right now, you know, and just the seamlessness. I mean, it's everything. This game is every bit as good as that stupid Bethesda game that I can't even remember the name of. That was absolute dog shit. That was just Skyrim in space. It is every bit of that game, but better. So if you enjoyed that piece of shit game, then you should come play Star Citizen. Because that was bad. We are in 2024 and it takes 3 menus to get anywhere or do anything. The pacing is awful. The ship flight is wonky and arcadey as shit. You don't have any of that here. Oh, something else I didn't even mention. Did you know that when you go pick up cargo, because you can be a trucker basically, if that's what you so desire to do with your time, you can go pick up cargo. And guess what? All of that cargo is physical. That means if somebody blows up your ship, that cargo just gets floated into air. What other game you play that's like that? Anyways, like I said, I just, for all of you out there who are thinking on the fence about whether Star Citizen is a scam or not, I just want you to take your time, go watch some content on it. If you like the content you watch, go spend yourself 45 to 70 bucks on the game. I strongly suggest you get the Avenger Titan as a starter ship. It really opens up the entire game to you right out of the gate without you having to earn your way to another ship. And you can kind of play every bit of the game with that ship. And it's $70, which is the same price you would pay for a AAA title game that's not going to have half as much love and care as this game does into it. It's an amazing community that are very supportive. So if you really want to get into streaming and you like the game and you want to stream this game, there's a community out there that will help you and be there for you and keep you there and follow you and just build you up. And if you need help, just reach out to somebody. I strongly suggest that if you decide to play this game, do it with a friend. Do it with somebody who knows what they're doing. And I promise you, at least I can say for myself, Daily Noob, a lot of the people like subliminals, you can come into their chats and ask them any question. And Daily Noob and myself specifically, I know I will drop everything and just go help you learn the game, because there is a lot to learn. The hotkeys itself are a little bit insane. There are hundreds of hotkeys, hundreds. So much so that I'm really adamant that they should put a search feature in the settings. Anyways, yeah, make your own informed decision. Don't just listen to IGN put out a fucking shitty article that they know is gonna get a bunch of clicks and farm your opinion. Don't be that guy. You're smarter than that. I believe in you. Anyways, as usual, my name is Daniel. I'm one hell of a nerd. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Make sure to tell someone you love them. You never know when they need to hear it, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, bye-bye.